80 brawlers, 80 stories, 80 histories. You know what this is, let's get into this. Starting with Shelly, yeah, she's a rare for today, quit typing that comment. This was the start. Shelly, as you can imagine, was like the main character in the game. For the entirety of the game's lifespan, Shelly would be the first brawler all players would get a chance to use, remaining as the tutorial brawler for Brawl Stars, as well as the only character you could play until you unlock someone else, even though that would happen like 5 seconds later. 4 months after her release, Shelly finally got the Shell Shock star power, and then it already got nerfed a few weeks later. In December 2018, the iconic Star Shelly became released and available to all in celebration of the first players to touch Brawl Stars after its global release. Then they just undid Shelly's star power nerf. 2 weeks later, Shelly got her second star power, and just like the first, this star power also got a nerf right after its release. But look at this, what were they thinking? It then got another nerf, and then in 2020, Shelly got her first gadget. At the same time, a special PSG skin for her became available for all players who won some 9-win challenge that, oh, I won. True silver and gold skins then joined Shelly, and a bit later, she got her second gadget, and then she had an era with 9 months of buffs. Then, Princess Shelly showed up as the tier 1 skin for season 8, and Shelly's class got changed to damage dealer at the end of 2021, and then she was just untouched for an entire year until she had her classic skin released at the end of 2022. Then, in April of 23, she got her most infamous buff ever, the movement speed. She became a fast brawler who was honestly super cracked, and it took 4 whole months before she finally lost this crazy speed. She then entered a hypercharge era in the first wave of hypercharges, and then her supercharge was nerfed enough so that she could no longer spam hyper supers. Then, if it matters, her flavor text got reworked to this, and eventually she got 4 more skins as all the brawlers hypercharges got fully reworked. She finally remained in peaceful silence until April of 2024 when her mutation made its first appearance, nearly 7 years after she first saw Brawl Stars. Nita was also in Brawl Stars since day 1, and at the start she received a balance change that removed health decay from her bear. In the Star Powers update, not only did she receive Bear With Me, but she was also given voice lines. Nita then spent the next 2 years getting nothing but buffs. Hyper Bear and a few skins were also added. In 2020, Koala Nita was added with respect to Australia, who was dealing with a lot of wildfires at the time. Then, Nita got Bear Paws, and well, it got a weird nerf that gave it 2 uses per match. They eventually undid that and gave the gadget a bit of a stomp delay, and in the meantime, Nita just got more buffs. At the end of 2020, Nita got her second gadget and even more buffs before kicking off 2021 with True Silver and Gold skins, as well as Whale Watch Nita. Nita was also changed to Damage Dealer, and then in Season 10, Neon Nita was added as a Power League skin. Nita gets more buffs, and then in the credits update, Nita's rarity went from Trophy Road to Rare. Then, in Season 16, Gummy Bear Nita was featured as a pretty cool tier 1 skin that had 3 different styles. Nita also received a little flavor text update before getting Tusk Nita, her very own legendary skin. And then, Nita got another buff since she clearly needed one. And finally, she received a hypercharge, a mutation, and a ranked exclusive skin now in 2024. Colt was also, these are rares, they all came out on release. Colt's first 4 updates were all buffs, and then he got slick boots and 5 nerfs. Then he got more buffs, more nerfs, and then we're already at the era of second star powers. Nothing significant happened until 2020 when gadgets came about, and then he later got Challenger Colt and another gadget. In 2021, Colt got Gunslinger Colt in Season 6, Gold and Silver skins a little bit later, and then his very handsome skin. He had this change in 2022, he got Sharptooth Colt for Season 13, and then became a rare brawler instead of a Trophy Road brawler. Later on, he got Bananas Colt, a hypercharge, and another flavor text change since they just didn't know how to describe him. Dark Angel Colt won Supercell Make, and he came out as a free skin for all, and then the hypercharge rework hit Colt like a truck, but then he got a lovely set of mecha skins. His journey reached the present time when his mutation came about in the end of April. Brawl was one of the OG tanks in Brawl Stars. Nothing really happened to him before his star power was introduced, and shortly after he got 5 buffs and then 5 nerfs. His next order of business was to get 2 American football skins and his second star power, and then he got 1 balance change all year, and then he remained in peace until gadgets came about. A bit later, Barbarian King Bull was made a free skin to celebrate Supercell's 10th anniversary, and then Bull got more buffs, as well as silver and gold skins. Then he got a second gadget. Bull eventually got his Space Hawk skin and a game-changing trait that allowed him to charge his super while receiving damage. Bull became titled a tank instead of heavyweight, and then in Season 9 he got the B800 skin bull as a tier 1 skin. He also got Lion Bull that no one ever used, and eventually he also became a rare brawler since the trophy road ceased to exist at the end of 2022. Alley Cat Bull then joined Brawl Stars, and many months later, Bull was seen in some crazy trailer for some upcoming feature that was later revealed to be hypercharges. Bull received his hypercharge, had this as his new flavor text, and then when we reached the current time, all that really happened to him was the hypercharge nerf. Brock was an absolute unit when it came to dealing damage. Well, it did take a few early days buffs to set him up for the game, but that's not that bad, right? He started off as a common, and then he became a rare in 2017. He started off with Incendiary when Star Powers came out, which meant that he could still not use 4 rockets for quite a while, despite literally holding a Grim Reaper rocket launcher. Anyways, they toyed around with him with more balance changes and then sent Brock back to being a common brawler, and then they kind of forgot about him until they added Boombox Brock the next year. Brock then got some more skins and finally a 4th rocket, and then a lot of buffs to his Incendiary star power. Then, nothing else really happened to Brock until he got his first gadget, and then he got Super Ranger Brock in Season 2, before receiving a second gadget and 4 hard nerfs to his various abilities. During Brawl Days that year, Brock received his classic skin as a free gift to all, and then began to get some major attack buffs. Then, Brock was occasionally balanced throughout 2021, he received silver and gold skins, and became a damage dealer instead of a sharpshooter. The following year, Brock had his star powers reworked, so now his attacks always set everything on fire, and also had that other Rainmaker star power make its first appearance. Brock had this changed for his flavor text. Postal Brock became the Season 13 Power League skin, and then he got a Zombrock skin before returning to the rare rarity, where he'll hopefully just stay. Then, Brock became a marksman instead of a damage dealer, and he got the Zeus Brock skin. After that, nothing really happened to Brock until he got his modern flavor text, and at the end, all sorts of new skins, a hypercharge, and finally, a mutation. Believe it or not, El Primo actually started off with a cone attack instead of a rectangle one. El Primo also started off as a rare and was later switched to a common around the time that his first star power came out. In the next few months, Primo had some balance changes, some more balance changes, and then went back to being a rare. After a few more balance changes, he had a very odd flavor text change in 2019, and then nothing really happened until he got his second star power. After that, he got more balance changes, the L Brown skin, and his first gadget. Primo then had silver and gold skins, his other gadget, and quite a few buffs. Primo then got a supercharged trait for receiving damage, but after just one day, it took a really heavy nerf. Primo then reached his prime in Showdown teaming, enough so that Supercell had to intensely decrease the speed at which he charged his super. He got 2 dragon skins, and he was named a tank instead of a heavyweight, even though they're like the same thing. Some of the damage from his previous nerf was undone, and then he got his Simp Primo skin for Brawlentine's a bit later. We then fast forward all the way to Season 17, where Elmer Dalma got to be the final tier 1 skin for the Brawl Pass. Primo then did essentially nothing until the Hypercharge update when he had this flavor text change, and then in 2024, El Primo got 2 skins, a hypercharge, a few buffs, and finally a limited time mutation. Barley's first order of business was to get 3 buffs. He then was switched to be a rare because even 2017 Barley wasn't unique enough to be a super rare. A bit later, Barley received his very own star power and voice lines. In 2018, Barley had nothing but balance changes, and in 2019, Barley had more balance changes before receiving 2 skins and a second star power. Then, Barley got another skin as well as his first gadget. Then, Barley got silver and gold skins as well as a few more buffs, and a bit later, a pretty cool unicorn skin. Barley then became a damage dealer instead of a thrower, and even another skin. He then had a slight flavor text switch, only for it to be tweaked again a bit later, and then he became an artillery brawler instead of a damage dealer. Barley then got his current flavor text and finally 4 buffs, but now in the present time, you'll notice that he's the first one on this list to not have a hypercharge or mutation. Please change that. In the first few days of his existence, Poco's super could not go through walls. Luckily, that was fixed immediately after the game came about, and then Poco received simple balance changes until becoming a super rare in September of 2017. Poco got his first star power, and it was literally called Swan Song, and it was so weird that it took like 10 days to get removed and reworked into the star power that we still have today. Poco then got a year's worth of buffs, and then a remodel in 2019, as well as Simp Poco for the 2019 Brawlentine. Poco became a bit better described with some new flavor text to months later, and then he finally got his second star power. It was nerfed very shortly after its release, and then nerfed again a bit later, all while his other star power got 2 buffs. Then Poco got a pirate skin, became changed to a support brawler, and finally got his tuning fork gadget. And honestly, nothing really happened to him until he got his second gadget a whole year later. Poco received in and out balance changes, and then Trash Poco during the Bad Randoms era, when Poco made an appearance on Spotify and all the other music platforms. Then Poco got 2 buffs, gold and silver skins, and Desperado Poco in Season 14. Poco then had 2 nerfs, and he was left untouched until the Hypercharge update when his flavor text got changed to something a bit more... that. But then he got his CCTV Poco skin, which was super terrifying due to its connections with Star Park, until he finally got 2 more buffs and finished off his journey with the introduction of a mutation. Rosa was the first brawler on this list to actually be released to the game instead of with the game. However, she was released so broken that essentially you couldn't even compete against her. And so, in the first 2 months of her existence, she was hammered down with 7 nerfs, but then in turn she was rewarded with voice lines being added, as well as a second star power. Then, almost as if the nerfs were overkill, Rosa received 3 buffs before getting a gadget, only to get another buff and then a Brawloween Rosa skin. Then, Rosa got her second gadget, this hilarious bug fix, whatever that means, and Coco Rosa. Rosa's class was changed to Tank, she got her silver and gold models, and then in Season 10, she got Major Rosa as the season exclusive skin. During the Biodome then, she got Mantis Rosa, which had a really cool super animation, and then she was just left untouched for over a year until she got the supercharged trait for receiving damage. Then, during the Hypercharge update, Rosa was one of the first picks for one of these abilities, and she also now has this flavored text to describe her, but then she went back to her roots, get it, by receiving quite a few nasty nerfs. And then, a quick 5 years after she had her first brawl, she received a temporary mutation that would catch us up to the latest version. Jessie was just like Nita in the sense that she started off with a buff that removed health decay from her spawnable unit. She then had a large sum of balance changes that occurred before finally getting her energized star power in December of 2017, and then she saw a series of buffs until the following June when she got the Summer and Dragon Knight skins. The entire next year, Jessie only received some buffs and then Shocky, before only getting more buffs for the remainder of the year. Maybe this means she started off bad? I don't know. Jessie then had Sparkplug released, followed by Tanuki Jessie, before Red Dragon Jessie became available to all users, celebrating the release of Brawl Stars in China. Recoil Spring was then released, and Jessie had some tweaks to her supercharge rate before getting a triple buff and her silver and gold skins in the same update. In the next update, Jessie had her largest main attack rework, but then she faced 3 nerfs in the next few months. After that, Jessie had a major remodel that applied to herself and her turret, and her class would be switched to Damage Dealer. Cat Burglar Jessie became available in November of 2021 for the Brawl Stars World Finals event. Nothing too major happened to Jessie until the credits update when she finally became a super rare, and then her class was changed to Controller. We then had to wait almost another year for the Hypercharge update to hit Jessie, when she would receive a Hypercharge and a little flavor text change, which would finish up her updates for 2023. She then had Doll Jessie added for this year's Brawlentine, a ton of Hypercharge rework updates, and finally the Scotty Jessie skin, which would catch us up to the current moment. Dynamite at the start of the game had 6 buffs in the first 4 updates that would slowly set the stage for his performance in the beta version of Brawl Stars, but then the super damage buff would eventually be reversed. Dyna Jumpers were then blessed as the Dyna Jump was released as Dynamite's first star power in 2017, and then he received 4 more individual buffs in 2018, which would unfortunately be followed by 3 nerfs. Santa Mike was added as a Brawladays 2018 skin, and shortly after, Spicy Mike was also added. His super got a 10% damage increase, and then he got the Demolition star power, which really allowed him to rack up his damage, and then after all that increase, his Robo Mike skin was added to the game. Dynamite then got another buff, his Fidget Spinner gadget, and a Coach Mike skin, and then Fidget Spinner got a rework that would allow him to move while the gadget was active. That's right, he used to have to stand still. Right after that, Satchel Charge was added, and his super became easier to fill, and then in Season 4, Bellhop Mike was added as a season exclusive skin. Dyna's reload speed was decreased, Fidget Spinner received a massive buff, and then in 2021, PSG Mike was unlockable by winning a PSG challenge. Dynamite's Senile then somehow got a movement speed increase, and then he was also switched to be a damage dealer, as if he didn't do a lot of damage already, and then he got his silver and gold skins. Club League was then introduced to Brawl Stars, and that came along with the moldy Mike skin. At the end of the year, his classic skin was added as a Brawl Days gift for all of the players to claim. His flavor text then became awkwardly confusing, then Dynamite was forgotten about all year until the credits update made him a super rare, and then he became one of the first artillery class brawlers to exist. Tengu Mike was added and it looked pretty okay, and then Fidget Spinner needed just a little bit more love and power over Satchel Charge, so it got a nearly doubling damage buff. Dynamite's flavor text became less confusing a bit later, and his Dynajump airtime was also decreased, with this change labeled as a buff. Most recently, he received 3 Hypercharge nerfs, and Dynasty Mike that would catch him up to today, where he kinda just has always been a nuisance to be stunned by. Tick was introduced on June 26th, 2019. Now, he always had well oiled, which is bad enough as is, and then the next occurrence very shortly after was the introduction of his other star power. Tick then had another change that stopped his star power from chasing and blowing up airborne targets, because I guess that's what it used to do, and then it was made Tick's turn for some balance changes. From that point, Tick pretty much just had balance changes until the gadgets update, when he got his first gadget called Backup Mine. New players, that name doesn't sound familiar, does it? Don't worry, I'll explain that in just a second. But before I do, King Crab Tick was added, his super became easier to charge, and well, he got yet another series of nerfs to his reload. Then Silver and Gold Tick came out. He then got Snowman Tick, and then the last hurrah gadget. After that, we finally look back to Backup Mine, which was then removed for being broken and switched to Mine Mania. Backup Mine was basically like Last Hurrah, but then it made him invincible and he shot out a mine. He released a mine out of his rear tick cavity, and then Tick then got 2 more nerfs. He became labeled as a damage dealer a bit later, and then he was left untouched for almost a year until he got the Tick Shuki skin and the Thick Head gear shortly after. Tick was then switched to super rare once there were no more Trophy Road Brawlers, and then he finally joined Dynamite as an artillery brawler shortly after. Kerberos Tick was added a bit later, becoming Tick's most expensive skin at the time, and then his reload speed was decreased to nearly a Mako level after he received another nerf. Tick, like every single brawler in the game at the time, had a change to his flavor text in the October of 2023 update, and then he finally received a Hypercharge, a temporary mutation, and 3 Tick Mecha Ghidorah skins in Season 26. You saw all of the brawlers like Brock, Shelly, and Mike who got a classic skin released many months or years after they were released, right? Well, 8-Bit was a completely different monster because he had a classic skin released on the same day as he was released. Classic just had a different meaning. A few weeks after his release, he received nerfs to his reload time and his extra life star power. What's that? And then he received even more nerfs, but then he had the super cool Virus 8-Bit skin released. 8-Bit then had more changes to extra life because somehow they just couldn't have a balanced star power that, you know, lets you respawn on Showdown. But anyways, he also got the cheat cartridge gadget, and after that, finally the rework that sadly eliminated the extra life star power. He got plugged in as a result, and then he got a large health buff. His damage booster's default damage was raised to 50%. He got Saloon 8-Bit as one of the most iconic skins ever in the Season 6 Power League, and then he had a series of changes to his super. A bit later, Silver and Gold 8-Bit variants came about, along with V8-Bit a month later. 8-Bit was switched to Damage Dealer from Sharpshooter, Super Rare from Common, and then we fast forward a few months until Haunted House 8-Bit was released. In Season 14, this had no effect on 8-Bit himself, but the Last Stand game mode became available, where you could play PvE and protect an 8-Bit bot. 8-Bit then had this new flavor text, as well as the antivirus and piano variants released to his now exclusive skins, and no Hypercharge, mutation, mythic gear, or anything unique added because I guess he's just not important enough. In his initial days, a ricochet attack used to shoot 4 projectiles. That sounds pretty boring already, but that was fixed within a week. Ricochet also received a few other buffs in his first months, and also had a rarity change early on, before receiving his first star power. Ricochet then basically just saw a year's worth of balance changes, and then in 2019, Ricochet had his name changed to Rico, and he changed from an assassin looking dude to a gumball machine, and his flavor text was changed like so. Then the Popcorn Rico skin was added. Rico then got some bouncy buffs, Robo Retreat, and a little health buff before having the Ricochet skin claimable at the end of the year, since he kinda lacked some awesomeness after the rework. Then he got a gadget, Guard Rico, and Silver and Gold skins a bit later, and then he ended off 2020 with some more buffs. Rico got the Bouncy Castle gadget that allowed him to heal so much health, and it eventually got 2 nerfs while Rico was switched to Damage Dealer. Chicken Rico was added for Club League, Firefly Rico was added in the Biodome season, and Multi-Ball Launcher had a huge damage buff that actually made it usable. Then, final boss Rico was released as a Power League exclusive skin, and then Rico got 2 buffs and a broken mutation in the present time that actually needed a nerf since it was too powerful to last in its given state for like 20 something days. Daryl was added December 7th of 2017, and before I begin, just prepare yourself to hear me say balance change. A few days after his release, Daryl received some balance changes. Then, Daryl received some more balance changes. After that, Daryl Supercharged received balance changes, and then in the entirety of 2018, Daryl received nothing but balance changes. Daryl started off 2019 with balance changes, as well as a slight remodel, and then he got the Dumpling Daryl skin. Then Daryl got 4 more balance changes and the Rolling Reload star power. Then he got 8 more balance changes, and that would be the end of 2019 for him. Then, guess what happened to Daryl at the beginning of 2020? He got balance changes. Then he got Mascot Daryl, a funny bug fix, and then some more balance changes, and then in May of 2020, he got his lovely voice. After that, Daryl got a balance change, Tar Barrel, a balance change for Tar Barrel, and his True Silver and Gold skins. Then for Season 5, Daryl got the that skin, and he later received Mega Box Daryl as a free skin to all players celebrating 1 year since Brawl Stars released in China. Daryl then got a balance change, a class change, more balance changes, and the Crash Test Daryl skin for Power League Season 12. Daryl then got the Omega Box Daryl skin to celebrate the arrival of the box that we all got to open once, as well as the Cupcake Daryl skin during Mandy's season. Daryl then got another class change, so now he's a tank, and then Daryl's flavor text was switched like so. Daryl had one update in the entirety of 2024. Wanna guess what it was? If you said mutation release, you'd be wrong. He got a balance change. Maybe it was a pirate thing, but who knows. Penny was released in 2018, and in her first 7 months, all she got were balance changes. Granted, they were mostly buffs, but then Penny was given the Lil Helper Penny skin as well as voice lines. Penny later got the Bunny Penny skin and 2 Last Blast balance changes. And then Penny got Balls of Fire. It's a star power. Nothing important happened until Penny got Pocket Detonator and the Dark Bunny skin. She then got the Captain's Compass gadget in a later update, before getting Smuggler Penny as the Season 5 Power League skin. Penny later got 2 balance changes, a class change, and silver and gold skins. 6 months later, Penny had her complete and total rework, becoming the modern edition of Penny, where I think the only thing that didn't change was her name and her voice. Then, the new Penny got 3 nerfs, but then in Season 15, Trash Panda Penny was added as an exclusive skin, and then a bit later, she became an artillery brawler. After that, she basically got 2 nerfs before finally just getting this flavor text and then 2 buffs. Then she got the Moon Cursor skin as a ranked exclusive, and finally a mutation that oddly enough really isn't used. Fun fact, Carl was released almost a month before getting voice lines. He also got 4 balance changes and a class change in that same update, but I guess that's just not as interesting. Carl then got 2 buffs, the Road Rage skin, 2 nerfs, and then a star power. Then he got the Hog Rider skin and basically just more balance changes. But then, Carl got the Leonard and Captain Carl skins before kicking off 2020 with 2 nerfs and a gadget release. The next few months for Carl consisted of buffs, Flying Hook, balance changes, and later, Dark Tide Carl. Carl then basically just had balance changes up until Season 7 when Surfer Carl came out. After that, Heat Ejector finally began to follow Carl's next attack instead of Carl himself. Carl became a damage dealer, silver and gold variants came out, and then Carl got 2 buffs, and then he got the Biker Carl skin for Season 12. Carl later got 2 more balance changes, the Sultan Carl skin, and the beautiful Goblin Carl skin. Heat Ejector became a bit hotter, and Carl's flavor text got switched like this before Carl finally got 2 more buffs and a mutation that made him super fast. The first addition to Jackie after her release was the Hardy Hard Hat star power. Then, she saw a series of nerfs as well as the Constructor Jackie skin. Then, she lost the Pneumatic Booster gadget charge, but then she got it back in the next update and the gadget itself was nerfed. Ultra Driller Jackie was then added, and Counter Crush Jackie got a huge buff. Jackie then got 2 more buffs. Counter Crush would then no longer trigger other Counter Crushes because I guess it made some crazy weird damage loop. Then, Jackie had 2 more balance changes, as well as the supercharged trait for receiving damage, and finally, Jet Ski Jackie in Season 7. In the next months, Jackie saw a ton of balance changes, a switch to the tank class, and the true silver and gold skins released much later than those were for a lot of other brawlers. Then, Jackie could no longer do 1 damage at the end of her attack, and she had Gift Express Jackie released in Brawl Days of 2021. In the next few months, Hardy Hard Hat got a buff, Rebuild was released, and Cookie Jackie got introduced, and then nothing significant happened all the way until Hypercharges, when Jackie got one during the early days of these abilities. Jackie's flavor text got changed to this, and then in the present time, she was slightly affected by the Hypercharge rework before having Jet Ski Jackie V2 released as a ranked exclusive skin. Gus was, as of right now, the latest super rare to be released. Wait a minute, he got buffs before his release, which is something I guess we don't see every day. So anyways, he got Soul Switcher and Spirit Animal added shortly after Gus himself was publicly available, and then he got like a full Brawler rework once his skills, or lack of skills, was seen in the real Brawl environment. Gus went from one mysterious flavor text to another, and then he got the World Champion Gus skin for the 2022 World Champions, and then nothing else happened until 2023 when he got his Gold and Silver skins. Soul Switcher became a lot less painful to Gus, and then he went from a second weird flavor text to the third one, but this one was more depressing than it was weird. Anyways, Boy Scout Gus was added, then he got 2 buffs before getting a skin called Balloon Sally, and then finally in the latest update, his super now knocks nearby enemies back. Bo, like most brawlers, had a ton of balance changes in his early updates, but there was one that was quite interesting in comparison to the others. 3 months after the game's launch, Bo received a balance change that gave him 4 mines with each super use. Bo was also switched to be a super rare from Epic, and then he just lost the 4th mine from a super. His mines also lost the pushback effect when they hit enemies, but that change was reversed in the next series of balance changes. Then, Bo got Circling Eagle, and it immediately received a buff with its view range. Bo got more buffs in the next few months, as well as a rarity change, this time being switched to Common. Bo then had a huge nerf to Circling Eagle, a tiny damage increase, and then the addition of voice lines. He then had a buff, a remodel, and more buffs before receiving gold and light mecha bow skins. Then, after that, he had the regular mecha bow skin added. After having 3 mecha skins, Bo then got his second star power, as well as another buff to Circling Eagle. Bo then got his totem gadget, which really just meant that he was now chief of cheesing in numerous maps and game modes. Supercell Make introduced Horus Bo, and a bit later, Bo also got his tripwire gadget. After that, Bo got some balance changes, and then Underworld Bo was released as another Supercell Make skin. Then, Bo had the Warrior Bow skin introduced, and it was unlockable by winning a duo showdown challenge. After that, Totem got a huge nerf where it would basically fill supers a lot less, and then 4 months later, that mechanic was switched with Totem Decay. Bo finally had his gold and silver skins released, and a bit later he was switched to be a damage dealer, since that seems to just be the place for most of the brawlers we have covered so far. In Brawl Days of 21, Ho 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 Bo was released, and then in Season 11, Wasp Bo was released as a Power League skin. Bo finally became an epic brawler when the Trophy Road was taken out, and then Bo's Totem finally received the full rework where it would no longer autofill supers and it would just help brawlers fill their own supers. Bo then joined the Controller class, and then nothing really happened to him until much later when his flavor text was given its modern statement. Brother and Supreme Bo were released a bit later, and then Bo had 2 series of in and out balance changes before finally getting his own mutation that would catch us up to the current moment. Ems joined Brawl Stars on October 23rd of 2019. About 2 weeks after Ems' release, she got the Hype Star power. After that, she received 3 buffs, and then she somehow became a heartbreaker when she got the Friend Zoner gadget, as well as College Ems. Then, her Friend Zoning capabilities were reduced to 2 uses per match, and Hype lost some of its healing power. Then, she became a better Friend Zoner, but also lost some health and already became a worse Friend Zoner, and then True Gold and Silver skins were introduced. Ems then got 1 buff, Superfan Ems, and a bit later, 5 balance changes at the end of 2020. The following year, Ems received 1 buff and was switched to Damage Dealer, and that was it. In 2022, Ems got the Acid Spray gadget, DJ Ems as a Supercell Make skin, and her rarity was switched to Epic. Ems then became a Controller, and then College Ems had a remodel and she became Mean Girl Ems before finally having this unique flavor text at the end of 2023, and that would already catch Ems up to the modern time. Nothing else has happened to her since. Stu was introduced on March 15th of 2021 along with his Superstar Stu skin. 2 weeks later, Ghastly Heal was introduced. Then, Stu received 4 nerfs, one of them being the removal of knockback from his super. Imagine if that existed today. Your Hank bubbles would never fill up. Then, Breakthrough is added, as well as his Wicked Stu skin, which would be his Bad Random skin. Stu then had a gadget and star power nerf, and then his style of assassin was made a bit more specific. Headless Rider Stu was introduced for Brawloween that year, and then he got his silver and gold skins. Stu then just had balance changes in the next few months, and he finally became an epic in the removal of the Trophy Road. Don't worry, he's the last brawler I'll be saying that for. Almost a year later, Jock Stu was added as a Brawl Academy legendary skin. Stu's flavor text now says this, and then he had the Santa Stu skin introduced as a Brawl-A-Day skin. Then, Santa Stu's super now developed freeze effects instead of burn effects, and Stu got a mutation that was added for a limited time. And oh, Stu had Ghastly Heal reduced by a half while the mutation was active. Piper was added on July 3rd of 2017. That's right, she was the first epic to be added after the dawn of Brawl Stars. Then she got 4 nerfs. but then she got ambushed and shortly after, a year's worth of balance changes. In 2019, Piper got quite a few buffs as well as snappy sniping and then just a series of star power balance changes, all while Pink Piper was introduced. Piper got more nerfs, the Calavera skin for Brawloween, and then a bit later, Cupid Piper for Brawlentines. When gadgets came released, she started off with auto aimer, but it actually had a complete different function, and this was addressed very shortly after the gadget's release. True Gold and Silver Piper came next, followed by a homemade recipe. Then, Choco Piper came out, and Snappy Sniping got quite a significant buff. 9 months later, Lunar Piper came out, and Piper had 2 back-to-back class changes from Sharpshooter to Damage Dealer and then to Marksman. Nothing happened between these 2 changes, but they were 2 calendar years apart. Mariposa Piper was then added as the Season 17 Power League skin, and Piper got a series of balance changes as well as this as her modern flavor text. I wonder what happened in her past. A bit later, Flag Bearer Piper was introduced, and finally, Piper got 2 more nerfs before her limited time mutation came about. Pam was released in September of 2017, and well, she was yet another brawler that got a huge amount of balance changes in the early days. She got Mama's Hug a bit later, but then she had already switched back to simply getting balance changes. In all of 2018, she was for the most part just buffed, and then she had her first flavor text change, and then the following year, she got 3 nerfs as well as Mama Squeeze. After that, Pam got 4 buffs, and she was switched to be a support brawler. She then got another buff, a gadget, and then finally a remodel. Shortly after, she got her first skin a long time after her release, and it was the most disgusting skin ever. Poor Pam. Then, Pulse Modulator got a nerf, and 3 months later, Pam got 4 more balance changes. The following year, Pam got another gadget, Evil Queen Pam, and her silver and gold skins. A month after Evil Queen Pam came out, it got its own set of voice lines.
Bam! Here comes Evil Pam!
Then, nothing happened to her for a full year until she got Song Spam. Then, almost another year went by until she got her own mythic gear, which very easily could have just been an epic pet power gear, but I'm not complaining. Pam then had her last series of balance changes, another flavor text change, and Evil Queen Pam got its own takedown effect, and then she finally got her own mutation that was unfortunately pretty underwhelming in comparison to the others. Frank was added in May of 2018. In his early days, he received the Caveman Frank skin, as well as 4 buffs, but unfortunately those were followed by 2 nerfs. Frank got a flavor text change that was kinda just needed, and then he got a siege nerf that was almost immediately retracted. That's right, we're already in the siege days. Frank then got the Sponge Star Power that made him have so much health, and then Frank got a remodel as well as the DJ Frank skin. After that, Frank got 2 health buffs, slowly building his status as the toughest brawler to exist, and then he got active noise cancelling. Frank then got his silver and gold skins and another health buff. Then, in Brawl Days of 2020, Frank got the Holiday Frank skin. Next up, Frank got Irresistible Attraction, as well as 2 buffs and the Supercharged trait for receiving damage. The trait got a heavy nerf the next day, and then a few months later, both gadgets got a buff, and Frank became labeled as a tank instead of heavyweight. He had 0 changes in 2022. Spirit Knight Frank was added as a Supercell mix skin, and then Frank got the same reworks as everyone else, as well as this being his new flavor text. After that, he got Venera Frank as a Warrior's Journey skin, and finally, a silly mutation that made him very fast. BB was introduced to Brawl Stars on May 21st, 2019. Like almost everyone, she was immediately hit with balance changes. Then, BB's Bad's Phase was added back for iOS. I guess that's important. Then, she got voice lines and the Bad Extent Star Power, and then she had another series of balance changes that would take her to the end of 2019. In Lunar Brawl 2020, another BB skin was added, as well as her Vitamin Booster gadget. Then, she had quite a few balance changes, and then she finally got Zombie BB as a Supercell make skin. A bit later, she got a health increase and the BB Lonti skin. Bad Extents then took a huge nerf, and 4 months later, Vicious BB was unlockable by winning the Bad Randoms challenge in-game. True Silver and Gold skins were introduced for BB, and then the Damage Dealer class took ownership of BB. A bit later, she got her other gadget and then a series of buffs. After that, she got BBRJ, more health, and tank status. Then, nothing else happened until she got the Bubblegum BB skin and the Cursed Pirate BB skin a bit later. Then, she got more health, and this was her flavor text. As we approach the present time, BB got her Hypercharge, Thor BB, and finally, Gamer BB. B was added in December of 2019. The following year, Honeycoat was introduced as a star power for B, and then she got Ladybug B 3 days later. Then, she was changed to a Sharpshooter, and Honeycoat started seeing numerous balance balance changes because there's just something odd about how difficult it is to balance total invincibility. The Honey Molasses gadget was added next, and then B received 2 buffs. A bit later, Mega Beetle Bee was added, followed by the Rattled Hive gadget. Rattled Hive then took a nerf, and a bit later, B had 4 more balance changes. Then, she had a total rework to the Honeycoat star power. It was now Honeycomb, and it is the current second star power that we have for B today. Neko and Gold Neko skins also came out, and that was followed by the release of a Supercell Make skin for B. Remember when they actually made skins for B? Yeah, good times. Then, Gold and Silver skins were also introduced. After that, B was just put in the Damage Dealer class, and she got a Honeycomb buff. Her Honey Molasses plot then got Health Decay, and B was switched to be a Marksman, and then she had one more series of balance changes in 2023 before getting her modern flavor text that now matches the Biodome trailer, and finally, one last health increase along with a limited time mutation. Nanny made her first appearance on June 5th of 2020. A week later, she got a quicker reload speed as well as a bug fix that no longer allowed her to teleport with the ball and Brawl Ball. Then, Nanny received Tempered Steel as well as 2 more buffs. A bit later, Retro and Sally Nanny were introduced, and then nothing happened until 3 months later when the Return to Sender gadget came out. A bit later, Nanny received 4 balance changes, nerfing both Return to Sender and her autofocus star power, and then she got her Silver and Gold skins. She then had a class change to Damage Dealer, and then another one 2 years later that made her a Marksman. A bit after that, she got the Belle Nanny skin, and then she got Ares Nanny as part of the Legends of Olympus set. A bit later, Nanny got just a few more balance changes, this as her flavor text, and finally 3 nerfs in 2024 that would already bring her up to date. Edgar was added on December 19th of 2020 as a free-to-claim brawler. This event would become known as the Edgar Apocalypse as the whole world got him all at the exact same time. A bit after his release, he had some tweaks to Let's Fly, and then he had his Fisticuff star power introduced. Edgar then got 2 more nerfs, and a few months later, the Quick Draw Edgar skin. After that, Edgar got the Hardcore gadget, and then he got a healing buff. His flavor text saw its first change in 2021, and then in 2022, he had 5 skins released, including his Silver and Gold models. Edgar then got a health buff, Blackbird Edgar, and Mecha Edgar, and after that, Edgar got hit with a series of stats reworks, as well as his now current flavor text that describes him arguably well, and then in December of 2023, he got his Hypercharge. After that, he had a ton of changes to his Hypercharge, and finally, the Thief Edgar skin was released for Sands of Time. Next up came Edgar's Greedy Boss, who was released on July 23rd of 2021 in a special challenge. 6 days after his first appearance, he was finally available in Brawl boxes, cause that's just how you used to get brawlers. Business Resilience was released a bit later, and then it got a buff very shortly after. The Greedster was changed to be a Damage Dealer, and then he got a special Christmas skin before kicking off 2022 with 4 balance changes. A few months later, Coin Shower was released alongside Silver and Gold models to really show the wealth of this true entrepreneur. He ended the year with 2 nerfs, and then had a high score skin released at the end of 2023 as part of a Lunar New Year set. His class was then changed to Controller, and he also got a Cursed Pirate skin for the Summer of Pirates, and then after that, he had nothing but balance changes for the remainder of his time. Grom was introduced in a Grom challenge at the very end of 2021, and he would not be attainable through boxes for another week. A bit later, he got a 1% buff to the rate that his super recharges itself, that's right, and then he got the X Factor star power. Then, Grom got a triple nerf, a bug fix, and then another nerf. And then, Grom's Radio Check gadget was added, and his attack and super were made so that they had the same airtime no matter how far they were thrown. Bunny Grom was added next, and then Grom just had more balance changes while his Silver and Gold skins came out. For Brawloween 2022, Franken Grom was added, and after that, Grom just had more buffs, more nerfs, and then he was finally switched to be an artillery brawler. Inflation hit Bunny Grom, and then Grom lost some health, and then nothing really happened to him until he had his flavor text changed at the end of 2023, before finally getting his Warrior Journey skin, and then a limited time mutation. Bonnie came out on June 6th, 2022. 2 days later, Empress Bonnie was released to the shop. She then got the crappy Crash Test gadget as well as the crappy Wisdom Tooth star power, and then she had her True Silver and Gold skins added. She got her first nerf in August after her release, and then her class was changed to Marksman. Crash Test had its damage significantly increased, and then the Unicorn Bonnie and Foot Bonnie skins were added back to back. Then, Bonnie got a few more balance changes, this as her flavor text, another 2 buffs, and finally a mutation. That's all. Gale was released with Merchant Gale as the very first Chromatic in Brawl Stars. His second wind star power was added shortly thereafter, and then Gale began to be hit with a lot of balance changes, mostly being nerfs. 4 months after his release, his second wind star power was fully reworked into freezing snow so that his attacks could briefly slow enemies. After all the nerfs, Gale finally got 2 buffs before seeing the Nutcracker Gale skin release for Supercell Make that December. Gale then got 2 buffs, the Twister gadget, and his silver and gold skins. Then his class got changed to hybrid, and for Brawlywood, Gale got the Squeak Buster skin. Gale then got 2 buffs, 4 nerfs, and a bit later, he was switched to be a controller. In June of that year, his Twister gadget got a funny buff that made it work only on his allies, but that was fixed within a day, I think. After that, Gale pretty much just got balance changes until his flavor text was changed to this, and then the elimination of the Chromatic rarity placed Gale at Epic. Gale finally received 2 buffs and a mutation, which would finish off his current journey through Brawl Stars. Colette and her Trixie skin were released on September 14th, 2020 as part of the Season 3 Brawl Pass. 3 days later, Colette got essentially 5 buffs. She was released so bad that she was almost unplayable. Then, her Mass Tax star power was released, and she just followed with another 4 buffs. Navigator Colette was added for Lunar Brawl in 2021, and her Nuh-Uh gadget got its second rework, and then that October, she got Gladiator Colette for Supercell Make, as well as her silver and gold skins. Then, she became a damage dealer, and a bit later, she got her Gotcha gadget. In Season 15, Inspector Colette was introduced as a Power League skin, and then she was left untouched all the way until she had her new Hypercharge, flavor text, and rarity change at the end of 2023. In Season 22, Colette got 3 Paulette skins, and her Hypercharge began to see quite a few nerfs. Colette then got another skin, and 1 more Hypercharge nerf, and that would catch us up to the current time with her history. Belle was released with a Gold Hand Belle skin during Season 5 in April of 2021. Exactly 1 month later, she got the Grounded star power. But then, Belle got the reputation of being a little too OP, and she got 5 nerfs in about 4 months. But she did have 2 buffs in the mix. Belle's class was changed to Damage Dealer, and then she got the Reverse Polarity gadget, as well as Ivy Belle for the Biodome season. Then, Belle got her silver and gold skins, as well as the Coral Belle skin for Deep Sea Brawl. Belle then had no changes until the following February when her class was changed to Marksman. Then Grounded got buffed, her flavor text said this, and star power. Her rarity was knocked down to Epic when she finally got a Hypercharge nerf, and finally a mutation. Our next Epic was Ash, who came out in Season 8 with the Ninja Ash skin. They were released at the end of August 2021, but Ash didn't get his second star power until early October. Then Ash got 2 Rage Bar balance changes, and his class was switched to Tank. Then Ash got a pretty decent health buff, which was followed by the release of Rotten Banana. Ash then got 3 nerfs, his silver and gold skins, and Pizza Evan Ash as a Club League skin. Ash then got his very own Dark Brawl Days skin that year, followed a little bit later by Pinata Ash. A bit after that, Ash received a few balance changes, and then a few months later, Ash got this as his flavor text, which was followed by 2 more buffs and a change to Epic Rarity, before finally getting a Rage Bar buff and a mutation that gave him a lot more rats. Lola and Rebel Lola were released on November 8th of 2021 as part of the Season 10 Brawl Pass. Right away, she had 2 basic nerfs, and then she got her Sealed with a Kiss star power. After that, her Eco's damage got cut in half while it was standing next to Lola, and she was left untouched for 3 months until she got her Stunt Double gadget. A bit later, her silver and gold skins were released, and then she got the Galaxy Storm Lola for the Worst Bunch set. A bit later, Lola had balance changes for both of her gadgets, and then Lawless Lola was added as a Season 14 Power League skin. She then had nothing for a little while until she got yet another skin, and then just a simple star power buff. After that, her flavor text got changed just a bit more, and then she got Cobra Lola, Lavish Lola, Epic Status, and finally a mutation that was never really used. Sam and Caesar Sam were introduced on September 5th, 2022 for Season 14. 2 weeks later, his Pulse Repellent gadget was added, and then another 2 weeks later, his Remote Recharge star power was added, just to not be used by anyone. A little while later, Hardy Recovery faced a huge nerf since it was able to give Sam a bit too much health, and then they just gave him a bit more starting health. For Dark Brawl Days, Sam got the Yeti Sam skin, and a bit later, Sam got his Teddy skin for 2023 Brawlentine. After that, Sam got 2 nerfs, Assassin Status, and his silver and gold skins. His flavor text was changed to this, and then for the Bizarre Circus, he got his very scary Dark Clown skin. At the end of the Chromatics era, Sam received Epic Status, and then he finally got 2 buffs, which would catch him up to the present time. Mandy was released in Season 16, which was the first season to be post-Brawl Box Apocalypse. This January 2023 season introduced Magma Mandy as the season-exclusive skin, as well as MC Mandy that was just a lot less special. Mandy got a tiny focus buff a bit after her release, and then she got the Cookie Crumbs gadget and Hard Candy star power on the same day. Her class was rightfully changed to marksmen, and then she got her silver and gold skins before getting 2 more buffs that would catch her up to the current date on balance changes. After that, Mandy got another skin, this flavor text change, her rarity switched to epic, and a mutation that would bring her story to the current time. On May 1st of 2023, Maisie came out with her Tech and Jungle Queen skins. In her first update, she got 2 buffs and a disengage rework, and then that was all until Marauder Maisie was released as a Season 20 Power League skin. Then, she got her Hypercharge, new flavor text, and a bit later, a series of nerfs. Finally, in February of 2024, she got her True Silver and Gold skins, and that would already catch her up to today. Hank was released on June 7th of 2023, and this began the greatest era Brawl Stars has ever had. Sadly, 5 days later, he got a series of huge nerfs, including a fix to him dealing a ton of damage by getting power cubes. 2 more weeks later, Hank got 4 more nerfs, but then he fell into a deep dark depression where he was over-nerfed and unusable. But then, the sun rose once more and Hank received 5 buffs that would bring him back to a playable state. But oh, this wasn't till September. Then, Rodeo Hank was released as a Wasteland skin, and Hank was more prawn ready when he got this flavor text, and then he finally got 2 more balance changes and a mutation. If you haven't noticed though, he has yet to receive a true gold skin. Supercell, I'm waiting. Pearl was released in Season 20 with their vintage and periscope skins. Then, Pearl's Overcooked gadget got 2 nerfs, and Pearl became the first brawler to have her mastery title changed. Granted, nobody wanted to use Just Do It. Later on, Pearl became a little bit faster, and she became an epic when the Chroma No More update struck, and then she basically just got more balance changes and her silver and gold skins and called it a day. I hope you're ready for the story of Larry and Lori. On January 25th, 2024, they were released as part of an early access bundle. 6 days later, they got their controller skins. Then, they were available on the Star Road, so the free-to-play players could finally grab them. Sounds pretty normal, right? Well, it only kinda was. Now that everyone could get them, they were suddenly the most broken brawlers ever, and they got 5 nerfs. Then, they got 2 nerfs. Then they got 4 nerfs. They got so many stats reduced, it was crazy, and then they realized that the weapon swap gadget made you do no damage, which was pretty funny, but they still fixed it. And that was it. No hypercharge, no mutation, no nothing, but they do have a 3rd skin that could be released soon. Angelo showed up first on Leap Day 2024 as part of a buy one epic brawler for $15 bundle. Then, he got the Elf Angelo skin, and a bit later, he was finally released to the Star Road for the rest of us to play. Then, a month later, he received his one and only nerf to his Super Poison, as well as a really brief one-word flavor text change that was retracted really quickly. Then, he just got a mutation, and that was it for him. Oh, we're now on Mortis, so you all know you're screwed. Mortis was released with the game, and a little bit later he got 2 much-deserved nerfs. Then, he had his rarity changed from Epic to Mythic, which was mostly just a status that he didn't really need. Then, he got 2 more much-deserved nerfs, and then the Creepy Harvest star power. After its release, Creepy Harvest got its very own much-deserved nerf, but then Mortis unfortunately received a series of buffs. After that, Mortis got more stupid buffs, and then he got remodeled, which made him look a little bit less ugly, and then he got the Top Hat Mortis skin. After that, Mortis got 1 unnecessary buff, a star power rework, and voice lines. Then, Creepy Harvest took a huge L, the disgusting Night Witch Mortis skin was added, and then Mortis got another buff. Coiled Snake was then added, and it very quickly took a nerf. Coiled Snake then takes another nerf, and Creepy Harvest got a buff, and then nothing happened to Mortis until Combo Spinner was released with the Gadgets update. Sometime after, Rogue Mortis got released, Survival Shovel got added, and then Mortis had a few small balance changes before getting a nice little value pack out of his silver and gold skins, cause there's 2 of them. A bit later, Beach Time Mortis was released, and then he got a total rework to the Coiled Snake star power. Mortis finished off 2021 with 1 more nerf to Creepy Harvest, and his assassin status became a bit more generic. Mortis got 2 more balance changes, and then nothing happened for 10 months until his 3 mecha skins came about. After that, Mortis was untouched for many months before getting a few balance changes. And then a bit later, Mortis had this as his new flavor text. Oh, more Star Park. After that, Hockey Mortis was released, which I'll admit was pretty okay. And then after that, Mortis got a mythic gear, and then just 2 buffs, and that will complete the story for the creature of the night. Terra was added on September 4th, 2017, and well, her balance changes started off quite early as she got 3 nerfs 1 week later. After that, some of the damage was undone, and then she got the Black Portal star power. After that, she was tweaked quite a bit more with balance changes, and then she began to receive a few more buffs, and then she got a couple nerfs. After that, she got a buff, a remodel, voice lines, and then a second star power. After that, Terra then basically had a few small balance changes, and Irish Terra was released. Her class was then changed to Fighter, and Street Ninja Terra was released, and then she got her first gadget. After that, she basically just saw a series of balance changes before receiving her silver and gold skins, as well as her second gadget a few months later. Misfortune Terra was released next, as well as another class change, and then Terra's abilities got 2 nerfs as we entered 2022. Tempest Terra came out for Sands of Time, and then Terra got her first flavor text change, as well as the Rage Quit Terra skin for 2022 World Finals. After that, Terra got 2 buffs, Irish Terra became Star Up, and then at the end of the year she got another flavor text change, and finally, Urban Ninja Terra to catch her up to today. Gene made his first appearance on February 15th of 2019. 2 short weeks later, he was given 4 buffs and 1 nerf, as well as some voice lines. Then, his super finally got the ability to grab non-brawlers, and then Gene got a huge series of bug fixes because I guess he just wasn't ready to be a brawler. Didn't he used to crash the game with the super? Anyways, Gene got more balance changes and a pat on the back star power that didn't even last a month. He then got Pirate Gene and 2 more buffs to Magic Puffs. His first gadget was Lamp Blowout, and then it got a nerf really early on. After that, Evil Gene came out, Lamp Blowout lost a charge, and then Gene got a lot more balance changes throughout the rest of 2020. Gene kicked off 2021 with a buff, a second gadget, more buffs, and more skins. Gene then got another series of balance changes, as well as the Swamp Gene skin for Brawloween that year. After that, he was left untouched all the way until the following October, when he had Spirit Slap reworked to its current version, and then he got his Talk to the Hand mythic gear. Gene was then switched to be a controller brawler, and then we fast forward many more months to a point where his flavor text now says this, and then he received a few more balance changes, and finally he got his hypercharge. Max first became playable at the very end of 2019. On New Year's of 2020, her run and gun star power was added. 2 days later, she got GT Max, and after that, she got a series of balance changes, and then she was switched to be a support brawler. 2 months later, she got 2 nerfs and a phase shifter gadget, and then she got 2 minor balance changes before getting Streetwear Max. Then, she got more balance changes, as well as Sneaky Sneakers, and then the Coney Max skin. Later on, she ended up getting 3 nerfs, Hermes Max, and her silver and gold skins. Then, in 2022, she got 1 buff, and that was it. After that, we fast forward all the way to 2023, where Panther and Leopard Max were released, and Max got 3 nerfs. After that, she got her flavor text changed like so, and then she finally received a health buff, a hypercharge, and an infinite ammo mutation. Mr. P came out in January of 2020, and his release was followed by the addition of a tin can star power. Agent P came out a bit later, and then Mr. P was hit by his first wave of nerfs. Surface Belt came out as his first gadget, and then he got more health, as well as a star power remove and rework, which introduced Revolving Door. Then, Mr. P was hit with 4 nerfs, and then nothing really happened until Porter Reinforcements was introduced a bit later. Then, he got 4 more nerfs, gold and silver skins, a class change, and finally, Count Pangula as a Brawloween skin. At the end of 2022, both of Mr. P's star powers were reworked, and then he got the Mr. Fly skin for Biodome. Mr. P then got another skin a bit later, and then Mr. P was switched to be a controller, and then he finally got a health buff. A bit later, his flavor text was changed like so, and his journey reached today when he got 2 buffs in the April 2024 update. Sprout's up next, and well, Sprout came out a bit after the gadgets update. Then, Sprout got 3 much needed nerfs, and later the photosynthesis star power. After that, Tropical Sprout came out, and then there was a series of balance changes before finally receiving Lunar Sprout and the Transplant gadget. Sprout then finally got a buff, but that didn't last too long before there were 2 nerfs headed Sprout's way. In the months following, Sprout got the Emerald and Ruby Prince skins, as well as Silver and Gold skins, and then Corrupted Sprout for the Biodome. Sprout was then labeled as an artillery brawler, and then nothing really happened until a flavor text change described Sprout like so, before Sprout finally got a mutation and a hypercharge introduced. Byron was added on December 16th, 2020. About a month later, so was his injection star power. Unfortunately for him though, he also got 4 nerfs within the next few months. After that though, he would begin to get a few buffs one by one until he got the Wizard Byron skin for Season 8's Power League. After that, he didn't get anything until the following March when Booster Shots was introduced as a second gadget. Then, Byron got a supercharge nerf, and then he would stop celebrating with his "No!" voice line, it was a bug. And then Gold and Silver Byron showed up. We then fast forward another few months before Byron got a very necessary reload speed buff, and then he got once again a faster supercharge, and when the flavor text update hit, Byron's now said this, which is ever so fitting. For Bizarre Circus, Ringmaster Byron was added, and then he got one more buff, and finally, a ranked exclusive skin called Byron the White. Squeak made his first appearance on May 20th, 2021. A bit later, he got the super sticky star power, and then 2 months after that, he got his first series of balance changes. Squeak was later reclassed to be a damage dealer, and then the Ghost Squeak skin came out as a Brawloween skin. Then, during the Club League update, Potato Squeak was introduced as a Club League skin. Squeak would later get a tiny health buff before the Residue gadget came out, which initially had no slow effect at all. Then, Residue was given a 20-second slow effect and immediately became the most broken control gadget ever. After that, it saw a huge nerf, and then they just took a break and then gave Squeak Silver and Gold. Then, Moon Bunny and First Blob were added, and Squeak was finally labeled as a controller, and then they just went to balancing gadgets. When Brawl Academy came out, Nerd Squeak was introduced as a skin for that set. Squeak finally got another Residue nerf, this as his flavor text, the Squeaky Note skin, and finally, a mutation. Season 4 introduced Lou and his King skin on November 23rd of 2020. The next day, he got 3 buffs just like that. Then, a bit later, he got the Hypothermia star power. After that, Riz Lou was introduced as a Brawlentine skin, and then he got 6 more buffs in the coming moments. Cryo Syrup was made as his second gadget, and then he got the Burger Lou skin, and his class was changed to Hybrid. Silver and Gold Lou were next to be introduced, and then Lou got 2 star power reworks in 2022. Then, nothing happened to Lou for a whole year before he was changed to be a controller brawler. Then, Stone Troll Lou came out as a Season 19 Brawl Pass skin, and then he got a bit more of an unfortunate flavor text as well as Hypercharge. From there, he was changed to finally be a mythic, and then he got 3 more nerfs before finally catching up to the present time. Season 5 brought Colonel Ruffs to Brawl Stars in early 2021. 3 weeks after he was out, his field promotion star power was also added. Then, Colonel Ruffs ended up receiving 2 nerfs, with one of them slowing down his unload speed since previously he could attack extremely fast. Then, they added Martial Ruffs as well as the air support gadget. Then, he was left untouched for nearly a year before getting a damage buff as well as his silver and gold skins. After that, his Sandbags gadget got a nerf, and then Chimmy Ruffs was also added. In August of 2022, Colonel Ruffs was renamed to just Ruffs, and his flavor text was switched accordingly. His flavor text was again simplified a few months later, and after that, he was left untouched until the October 2023 update, where his flavor text was fixed once more, along with all the other reworks everyone received. At the end of 2023, the Chromatic rarity was eliminated, and Ruffs became a mythic before he finally got 2 buffs, a limited time mutation, a nerf to his mutation, and then that was it. Buzz, as well as the Born Bad Buzz skin, came out in what is arguably the best Brawl Pass season of all time. This June 2021 update kicked off Season 7, and then Buzz's first change was the addition of his Eyes Sharp star power. After that, his class was changed from Buzzassin to Assassin, and then in Power League Season 9, Director Buzz was released. A few months later, Silver and Gold Buzz came out, and then in August of 2022, Buzz finally received his first balance change, which was really just a simple health buff. He also got his X-Ray Shades gadget, and then 4 months later, he got the Bazette skin as part of the Candyland set. That May, he got Kaiju Buzz as a 29 gem skin, and then his flavor text was changed like so in October of 2023. When the Chroma No More update struck, Buzz became a mythic brawler, and then a while after, he got another health buff. Buzz then received his Hypercharge in February of 2024, and then he got 3 more skins for Season 25, and then he got Filmmaker Buzz as a ranked exclusive skin. But it didn't end there, as he got 3 Godzilla Buzz skins and a temporary mutation in the Godzilla update. Fang. He was added with his Furious Fang skin at the start of 2022 during Season 10. A month later, he got the Divine Soul star power, and then 2 more weeks later, he got the Roundhouse Kick gadget. Then, he got hit with 4 nerfs. It's almost like he was overpowered or something. After that, Silver and Gold Fang became available, and then after that, Octo Fang was added. 7 months later, Fang was finally labeled as an assassin, and then this change was followed with 3 buffs. Fang then had this flavor text out, and for Supercell Make or Brawloween that year, Fang had another skin released. Then, Fang was switched to Mythic, and he got his Hypercharge added. 6 days later, his broken Hypercharge got 2 nerfs, and then he just randomly got the Ferocious Fang skin. Then, they went back to business and he got 4 more Hypercharge nerfs, and this very important balance change. Finally, Fang got his red and blue pitcher skins, and somehow they were Super Brawl skins, cause, you know, they really need a pitcher. The Biodome season in March of 2022 introduced us all to Eve and her spiky Eve skin, and I'll tell you what, she was a nightmare to deal with. This would later play out not so well for her, as she got a nerf, and then after she got her second gadget and star power, she got another 5 nerfs. Then, she got silver and gold skins like everything was normal, and then a little buff to make up for the brutal defeat she faced. Eve got a Lunar New Year skin in 2023, and then she got her quadruplets mythic gear. Her flavor text was changed in a way that would make Ruff's mains fear Eve, and then she too was switched to be a mythic brawler. Eve then got her mutation, as well as the Mother Eve skin as a rank exclusive skin for season 26. Janet came out with her Valkyrie Janet skin in season 12, and then she got her second star power and gadget a little while later. After that, she lost the ability to use drop the base while flying, and then she already got her silver and gold skins. Janet then got 2 nerfs, and 3 months later, G-Force Janet. After that, she was switched to Marksman, and then she got the Popstar Janet skin. Then, a wave of 5 nerfs crushed Janet, limiting most of her abilities. Dark Fairy Janet was the next to be released, and after that, she got the Lunar Janet skin. Once that was done, she got this as her new flavor text, and then she ended her current story with a lovely group of buffs, a rarity change to Mythic, and finally, a limited time mutation. The next season brought us Otis. He was brought about on July 4th of 2022, along with Fair Otis, and then he didn't really have any changes until his second gadget and star power came out. Then, he got his silver and gold skins, and later, 2 buffs because he was a really boring brawler. Then, Otis got a few nerfs, but he was also labeled as a controller. After that, Oni Otis was introduced, and then he had no changes until the following October when he got this as his new flavor text. Nobody knows his true identity, I guess. Then, he got a funny bug that let him crash the game, and so it had to be fixed. And then he had a rarity change as well as W Otis added for World Champions that year. Otis finally received 2 more buffs, catching us up to date with his history. Do you all remember Buster in his early days? Well, I do. He was broken. Oh wait, let me introduce him. Buster and his Chainsaw Buster skin were added in November of 2022 as part of Season 15's Brawl Pass. Right away though, he became a powerful brawler who was a little bit broken. As a result, he got hit with 4 nerfs. Then, he got a gadget and star power added, and then 6 more nerfs. Then, Buster got his silver and gold skins, Crocodile Buster, and finally, a series of buffs that began to undo the damage that he got early on. After that, he went back to getting nerfed, had this flavor text after it was changed, and finally, 2 nerfs and a rarity change that would catch him up to date already. Gray was released with his Runaway Gray skin on December 12th of 2022, and he was made unlockable by quests where you had to do 500,000 damage. Then, he got his Grand Piano gadget as well as the new Perspective star power. Gray's piano gadget then faced a huge nerf, but that's just because the thing was huge, and it kinda just broke all the walls. Jackie Gray Bocheese then got nerfed when he could no longer teleport all of his allies in the initial portal, but that was just simply compensated with Silver and Gold Gray. 2 Detective Gray skins came out, and then his fake injury star power got a pretty nice buff. Gray had this as his new flavor text, and then at the end of the following April, Gray finally got his very own mutation. On March 6th, 2023, RT as well as his Crimson and Patrol skins were all added to Brawl Stars. 3 weeks later, he got the Hacks gadget and the Recording star power. Then, he got his only 2 nerfs a bit later, and then he was pretty much just left untouched until his flavor text was changed like so. He then became a Mythic, got Silver and Gold RT, and then finally had his inline gadget reworked to something that was actually usable. And that was it. Willow came out next, and well, she got 2 buffs before she was released. Then, on April 3rd of 2023, she was added to the game with her Axel Willow skin. A few weeks later, she had her Dive gadget and Obsession star power added. And then a little while later, she got 2 much needed buffs for her super. Willow eventually got another health buff, as well as the Scorpion Willow skin, and then she had this as her lovely new flavor text to describe her. Willow finally got 2 more buffs to her star powers, as well as her silver and gold skins, and then that's just it for her current story. Doug was added with the Draco Doug skin on the 1st of August in 2023, And well, he was kind of like treated as a joke. 2 weeks after his release, he was given 3 buffs and a nerf, and then he was given another 2 buffs. Silver and Gold Doug then came out, and then that's just it. But don't blame me, he's new. Chuck was first seen on October 11th, 2023 as part of a $20 Brawler bundle. Then he got the Inferno Chuck skin, and he became available on the Star Road a week after he was seen in the bundle. He took 1 nerf shortly thereafter, and then he was left untouched for a few months before Desert Scorpion Chuck was added. And then Chuck was finally able to place posts down while in range of other posts before finally getting his silver and gold skins. Charlie was added with her amazing and rosy skins on November 6th, 2023. 3 days later, she already got 4 balance changes and fixes, and then in the next month, she got another series of nerfs. At the same time, she was changed from Chromatic to Mythic, and then when her season ended, she became available on the Star Road. Then, her Hypercharge got a ton of nerfs, and 3 months after that, she got even more nerfs before finally getting her silver and gold skins. Miko was added in December of 2023, and guess what? He was free! He also came out with a skin that wasn't free, and then a bit later, Grouch Miko came out as part of the Dark Winter Tales set. Miko was also broken with power cubes, so that had to be addressed, and then a bit later, he got another skin. After that, he got a few hypercharge changes of his own, and finally, silver and gold skins. Melody came out on March 27th as part of a $20 Brawler bundle, and then she was added to the Star Road a week later. She also had her own skin added, and then 3 weeks after her release, she got hit with 2 nerfs. After that, she got a mutation, and that was already it. I hope you're ready for this one. Lily was released in a $20 bundle on April 24th, then she got Strawberry Lily, and then she became available on the Star Road. Spike was released with the game, and well, he got 2 nerfs very early on. Shortly after, Fertilize made itself Spike's very first star power, and then it got a nerf. Spike turned back around with 2 buffs, but then he got another nerf. Nothing too important happened until Curveball was added as his second star power. Then, he got the Robo Spike skin, and 2 back-to-back buffs to Fertilize. Spike pretty much then just saw more balance changes, Popping Pincushion as his first gadget, and then more balance changes. He later got 2 buffs, Masked Spike, Dark Lord Spike, and then finally he got his silver and gold skins. Spike later got his second gadget, and his class was changed to Damage Dealer. In the 2021 Brawl days, Spike got Logmas Spike, and then he had a huge nerf to his Life Plant gadget. After that, he got Pyro Spike, and then 7 months later, he got his own mythic gear. He was left untouched for another 6 months before seeing 2 buffs, and then he later got his Hypercharge during the first wave of Hypercharges. Then, Spike's flavor text was changed like so, his mythic gear got a much needed nerf, and he finally started off 2024 with the Toon Spike skin. After that, he got a ton of Hypercharge nerfs, and on April 1st, the absolute best skin ever was added. Then Spike got 2 more nerfs, Poop Sounds for Poop Spike, and finally, a mutation. Crow started off his journey with nothing but a buff and then some nerfs. After that, he got the extra toxic star power, and then he went back to getting more nerfs in 2018. Crow then pretty much just got more nerfs throughout 2018, and then the iconic Phoenix Crow skin was added. After that, Crow took a turn for the better when he received 5 buffs, and then his 3 mecha skins were already released. He then got his second star power and a beautiful wave of buffs that would take him to the end of 2019. He got the defense booster gadget first, and then he lost the charge for it pretty fast. After that, he got his great remodel, as well as his second gadget, and then he had 2 waves of balance changes, and finally his silver and gold skins. He started off 2021 with 4 buffs, and then he had regular assassin status, as well as the Captain Crow skin. Then, he had a funny T-Pudge glitch that had to be fixed. Then, after many months of having a broken slowing toxins gadget, it finally got a nerf in August of 2022. Can you believe it's almost been 2 years? Crowbone was added a bit later, and then Crow got his mythic gear. Crow had his Phoenix Crow skin remodeled shortly thereafter, and then Crow got another 2 nerfs. Slowing Toxins then got another nerf, and Crow got another much more fitting flavor text. Then he got his Hypercharge, just for it to have a huge rework, and then Crow finally got a mutation in April of 2024. Leon was introduced to the game on December 5th, 2018, right as the game was globally released. Then his first order, or 6 orders of business, were to get some nerfs. After all of that chaos, he got the Invisiheal star power, and then it got a little buff very shortly after. Then Leon got Shark Leon, and a bit later he had more balance changes as well as his voice lines.
Go!
For Brawl Halloween of 2019, Werewolf Leon was added. Shortly after that, Leon got his Sally skin, and then he went back to getting some balance changes. His clone projector gadget came out first, and then he had more buffs as well as his silver and gold skins. Nothing too major happened until a year later when he got 2 more buffs and the Dino Leon skin. Then he had his Lollipop drop gadget, only for it to be nerfed very early on, and then his class was simplified to Assassin. He got Trick or Treat Leon as another Brawl Halloween skin, and then he had his own mythic gear. Some months later, Leon the Stray was introduced, and then Leon went back to getting some buffs and his flavor text was changed to this. White Wolf Leon was added for the most recent Brawl Halloween, and then in December of 2023 he got his Hypercharge. After that, Leon received 2 nerfs, and then he got 3 Mecha Leon variants. Finally, he got his mutation, and it was sure to confuse someone with every super he uses. Next came Sandy, who was released in September of 2019. A week later, he got the Sleepy Sandy skin, and then he got his Healing Winds star power. But then, Sandy began to get hit with a ton of brutal nerfs. One of them was later partially retracted, and then he was labeled as a support brawler before getting even more nerfs. He got his Sleep Simulator gadget, and then he was back to getting balance changes, as well as the Sugar Rush Sandy skin. Then, he got another buff, the Lantern Sandy skin, and a nerf that undid the previous buff. Sandy began to get even more nerfs, with the silver and gold skins in the middle, and then another nerf before getting Sandy Koya and a mythic gear. A little while later, he was switched to be a controller, and then he got a few more buffs because Supercell was pretty indecisive on how fast he should fill a super, and then he got a series of reworks, this as his flavor text, and similar to Otis, he had a funny bug that would make his super crash the game. After that, Sandy got 2 more buffs, and then 4 months later, he had his Hypercharge. And then he ended up getting 1 more skin. Amber came out in October of 2020. However, she was released to be a bit too powerful with everything, and this led to her getting 6 nerfs in a very short period of time. Then, she got her second star power, followed by a few more balance changes, and eventually she got Amber de la Vega and her True Silver and Gold skins. Then, she got damage dealer status, and nothing happened until her second gadget came out. For Dark Brawl days that year, she got Frost Queen Amber, and she was later switched to be a controller, rightfully so. She then got her mythic gear, but almost immediately it needed a nerf. From there, she got her flavor text change, 2 buffs, and then 2 nerfs before she finally had Frost Queen Amber become a full-on legendary skin with its own voice lines and everything else, now in 2024. Meg and all of her infamous voice lines were added in September of 2021. Like most legendaries on release, she was broken. She ended up getting 3 nerfs in the first 3 days, and then a bit later she just got her second star power. The star power then got renamed, and she later got a few more balance changes. A few months later, Beetle Meg came out for Biodome, and Meg got her second gadget as well as her silver and gold skins. Then, she ended up getting her monster truck skin and 2 more buffs. Later, Meg got herself a flavor text change, tank status, and then a complete brawler rework, so now she starts in her mecha form and it doesn't decay. That's right, she used to start off her matches as regular Meg. Jaguar Spirit Meg was added as the Season 18 Power League skin, and then Meg got some nerfs to her Force Field star power. Then, Meg got 2 nerfs, another flavor text change, as well as the Megalodon skin. She later got one last flavor text change, and then she finally got a limited time mutation that allowed her to rain chaos on the enemy. I'm glad it's gone. The Season 2 Brawl Pass introduced us to Surge and his Paladin skin in July of 2020. Right away, he had a bug that allowed him to fully upgrade in one super, so they had to fix that as a little chore. Next, Surge got his Serve Ice Cold star power, and after that, he began to see his first nerfs. Many months later, he got 1 slight buff and the DIY Surge skin. Then, his class was changed to Damage Dealer, and for Brawlywood, he got the Kong Surge skin. Then, he got his silver and gold skins, and he finally lost his annoying teleport gadget, which got switched to just upgrading him for 10 seconds. After that, Surge got more nerfs throughout the next year, and then he got the Kraken Surge as a Supercell Meg skin. His flavor text got changed like so, before he finally got a rarity change, 2 buffs, 2 skins, and finally his own limited time mutation. Chester and his Dark Chester skin were released in December of 2022. 2 weeks after that, he got his second gadget and star power. It was then made apparent that his Jawbreaker super was too strong, and it got a ton of nerfs. After that, Chester already gets his silver and gold skins, as well as a tiny health buff. Wood Spirit Chester came out next, and then nothing really happened until his flavor text was switched to what it is now. A year after his release, Chester got another health buff before finally getting 1 more skin as the Season 25 ranked exclusive skin. skin. Cordelius was released with 2 additional skins on July 3rd, 2023. At the time, he was still a Chromatic, but that didn't matter either way because he was still too strong. He got 4 harsh buffs a few weeks after coming out, which helped limit the strength of Poison Mushroom. Then, a bit later, he got the Raider Cordelius skin. After that, literally nothing happened until the Chroma No More update made Cordelius a legendary, and then he was doing just fine until a bit after that he got 1 nerf, a hypercharge, and his silver and gold skins. Next up, Cordelius got 1 more skin, and finally, 2 nerfs. That's all. Unlike everyone else, Cordelius' flavor text got to stay the same the whole time. Kit became available at the end of 2023 as part of a give us your money for a legendary deal. Shortly after that, Billy the Kit was added, and then Kit became available on the Star Road. Similar to Larry and Lori, Kit was finally nerfed a little bit after everybody was able to play him. After that, Kit got 3 Kit Boxer skins for Season 23. Then, Kit had 1 more series of balance changes, partially in his favor, as well as the silver and gold skins. That's it, unless you consider his gadget description being fixed. Finally, we have Draco, but if you're here expecting a history from him, you're right, because that's what this video is about. He was released on May 30th of 2024 in a limited time offer for only 20 bucks, and then on June 5th he got his Dark Knight Draco skin, and finally on June 6th he became available to everyone. And I'm just gonna say it now in advance, I guarantee you that gadget gets a nerf. If you actually watched this whole series, I appreciate you. Anyways, here's your members, and I'll see you next time.